Have you ever believed that eating lots of fruit is good for your heart and brain? That a banana, a glass of orange juice, or a few pieces of dried fruit are a safe, natural boost you can rely on every day? Well, I'm a neurologist, and I've seen far too many heartbreaking outcomes because of that very belief. Picture this. It's a quiet, peaceful evening. You're reading a story to your grandchild. Your voice is calm. The little one is listening, fully engaged. And then suddenly you can't speak. Your left arm drops. Your mind feels like it's sinking into fog. And worst of all, you can't call for help. I wish that was just a textbook scenario, but it's not. I've seen it play out more than once, in older adults who were careful, health-conscious, doing everything right. They didn't smoke. They ate clean. They took their meds on time. They watched their salt. They never skipped meals. They truly thought they were protecting their bodies. But the truth is, after age 65, your body doesn't respond the same way it did at 30. And the culprit, ironically, it's often the foods they believed were the healthiest. A banana, an avocado, a glass of orange juice, some dried fruit tucked in a handbag, even a refreshing coconut water replacing the morning coffee. Sounds harmless, right? But when your aging body can't flush out potassium effectively, when your morning blood pressure pills are already making you retain more potassium, when your circulation has slowed and your brain is resting in deep sleep, all those healthy choices can silently trigger a midnight stroke. Even worse, the early warnings are subtle. A moment of dizziness, unusual fatigue upon waking, numb hands that seem like you just slept funny, and by the time you realize what's happening, it may already be too late. So, what are the familiar fruits that might quietly sabotage your brain at night? And is there a way to still enjoy them without putting your mind at risk? We'll uncover that in the next section. And I believe it just might be the most important thing you'll ever learn about food and your brain. Most of us believe bananas are the perfect fruit, soft, easy to digest, rich in potassium, and great for the heart and muscles. Many older adults enjoy bananas as a safe dessert, even making them part of their daily routine to support health. And it's true in your 30s or 40s. A banana offers real benefits. It helps regulate heart rhythm, supports the nervous system, and can even reduce nighttime leg cramps. But everything begins to shift once you cross age 65. You don't need to have kidney disease for this to matter. Normal aging alone reduces kidney function. And when your kidneys aren't filtering efficiently, the potassium from even one banana can gradually accumulate in your bloodstream. High potassium doesn't cause pain. It doesn't bring fever. But it slows the heart, causes irregular rhythms, and most dangerously, it can constrict the tiny blood vessels in the brain, especially at night, when blood pressure becomes more unstable. I'll never forget one of my patients, Mr. Charles Whitman, 78 years old, a gentle man, a retired school bus driver. Every evening he'd slice up a banana, drizzle it with honey, and call it his heart-friendly dessert. No one had ever told him he had stage 2 chronic kidney disease, a condition that's very common in older adults, but often goes unnoticed. No one told him that his blood pressure medication caused his body to retain extra potassium. One morning, he didn't wake up at his usual time. His wife found him unresponsive, unable to speak. A CT scan showed he'd had a stroke overnight. A blood clot had blocked a vessel in his brain. His blood tests revealed dangerously elevated potassium levels. The banana he ate every night, combined with his medication, had quietly robbed his brain of clarity. The heartbreaking part. Even after weeks of rehab, Mr. Whitman only regained partial use of his arm. He still needs help speaking clearly, and I'll never forget the moment he looked at me and said, "Doctor, no one ever told me a banana could hurt my brain." So if you believe you're eating healthy, pause and ask, are my kidneys still working well? Am I taking medications that hold on to potassium? When was the last time I checked my kidney function? Because something that feels so harmless can take away your words, your memory, and your independence all in a single night. It's hard to scroll through a health magazine or social media feed without seeing a slice of toast topped with creamy avocado, finished with a sprinkle of pink salt and a few juicy tomato slices. Avocados have been crowned a superfood, rich in healthy fats, packed with antioxidants, and known for their anti-inflammatory and heart-supporting benefits. But here's something few people talk about. One average avocado contains 950 to 1,000 millicalors of potassium. That's nearly 50% more than a banana. And for a frail, aging body, that number can silently tip the balance into danger with no warning at all. Mrs. Lorraine Keller, one of my 81-year-old patients, is living proof of this overlooked truth. A retired piano teacher, she led a well-balanced life, clean eating, no added sugar, daily morning yoga, and she never skipped a medical checkup. Her favorite breakfast, half an avocado on whole grain toast, topped with a pinch of salt and fresh tomatoes, straight out of a wellness ad. But there was one small detail she didn't realize. She was taking spironolactone, a common potassium-sparing diuretic prescribed for high blood pressure. One afternoon, as she stood up from the sofa, she suddenly felt dizzy and collapsed. Emergency care was quick, but blood work revealed dangerously high potassium levels, and imaging showed she had experienced a transient ischemic attack, TIA, a mini-stroke, and a serious warning sign of worse things to come. I'll never forget the stunned look in her eyes during our follow-up visit. I did everything right. I thought avocado was healthy. No one told me it could be dangerous for me. And she was right. Avocado might be perfect for a healthy 30-year-old, but for someone over 65 with reduced kidney function and potassium-retaining meds, it can be the final drop that overflows the cup. So if you love your morning avocado, there's nothing wrong with that. But please make sure you've had your kidney function tested recently. You're not on potassium-sparing medications. You're enjoying small portions and not every day. Healthy food is only healthy when it fits your body. And clarity doesn't come from the ripeness of the fruit, it comes from the wisdom of how you eat it. If there's one iconic image of a healthy American breakfast, it's a fresh glass of orange juice next to a boiled egg or a slice of whole grain toast. Since childhood, we've been told oranges are packed with vitamin C, great for immunity, flu prevention, and heart health. But for older adults, especially those on blood pressure medication, that morning glass of OJ could be the start of a silent storm brewing in the brain's blood vessels. Just one 8-ounce, 240 milliliters glass of orange juice contains around 470 milligauss of potassium. To a younger person, that's no big deal. But for someone over 65 whose kidneys are already slowing down, especially in the early morning when hydration is low, and blood vessels are still constricted from sleep that potassium can build up fast. Now picture this. You've just woken up. You haven't had water yet. You take your blood pressure meds, many of which cause the body to retain potassium. Then you drink a cold glass of orange juice. Sounds healthy, right? But in reality, you've just created a potassium-retaining combo, causing your blood potassium levels to spike unexpectedly. That surge can tighten blood vessels, increase pressure in the brain, and if one of those vessels is weak, it might rupture. Mr. Harold Green, 79, a retired accountant, loved his morning ritual. Every day he'd rise at 6:30, take his BP meds, and sip on a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice by the window prepared the night before. One Tuesday morning, right after breakfast, he stood up and collapsed in his kitchen. A CT scan showed a small brain hemorrhage. Blood tests revealed elevated potassium levels. Though he survived, Harold could no longer walk steadily and lost trust in something he once believed was completely safe. I never imagined that a glass of orange juice could actually bring me down. And that's the frightening part. The orange didn't betray him. The juice wasn't toxic, but his body had changed, and no one told him. So if you want to keep your morning juice, consider drinking it after a full meal, not on an empty stomach, waiting 1 to 2 hours after taking blood pressure medication. Or better yet, swap it for warm water or a small orange slice to enjoy alongside food. Because protecting your brain doesn't begin with a pill. It starts with the smallest habits you repeat every morning. If bananas and avocados are the obvious suspects, then dried fruit is the master of disguise. Small, sweet, portable. Few people would ever think that a few dried apricots, raisins, or dates could push an older adult toward stroke risk. But the danger lies in that very perception and in the fact that you never feel full eating them. When fruit is dried, the water disappears, but the potassium, the healthy part, doesn't. In fact, it becomes concentrated. Just 5 dried apricots contain over 500 mg of potassium. A small handful of raisins, nearly 600 mg. You eat them quickly without any sense of heaviness. But your kidneys? They can't process quickly the way you chew. They need time to filter. And after age 65, that process is not only slower, it's also less effective. I once treated Mrs. Marlene Fitzgerald, 84, a retired librarian from Ohio. She didn't eat bananas. She avoided orange juice. She never touched avocados. But she had one gentle habit. Every afternoon, while reading, she'd snack on a few dried dates or figs, just a little natural sweetness. She believed it helped with digestion and mental clarity. Lately, though, she'd been waking up with lightheadedness and a foggy head. At first, she brushed it off as just aging. But one morning, after nearly fainting on a walk, her daughter brought her in. Lab results showed elevated potassium levels, even though she wasn't taking any potassium supplements. An EKG revealed early signs of arrhythmia. The culprit? Those dried fruits so often praised in wellness magazines. "I just wanted to eat natural," she whispered. "No one told me. Fruit could hurt me." And that's the paradox. We trust what looks natural and forget that our bodies are no longer the same. So if you love dried fruits, please remember, stick to 2-3 pieces at a time, and not every day. Avoid them at night, especially if you're on blood pressure meds or potassium-retaining drugs. Drink plenty of water. Your kidneys need help doing their job. Because stroke doesn't care if the food is big or small, It only needs the right conditions. And sometimes those conditions start with a handful of raisins. If there's one drink older adults often mention with pride, it's coconut water. No sugar, no additives. It's even been called nature's Gatorade. Doctors say drink more fluids. Well, coconut water, it's refreshing. And good for the heart seems like the perfect choice, right? Here's the problem. It's not just water. A 330 ml or 11 oz bottle of coconut water contains up to 600 milligrams of potassium, sometimes even more if it's fresh young coconut. For a younger, active body, that might be a benefit. But for someone over 65, especially those on blood pressure meds, potassium-retaining drugs, or with declining kidney function, that's too much, too fast. I remember Mr. Frank Delgado, 76, a retired electrician from Arizona. After reading an article that coconut water supports heart health, he decided to replace his morning coffee with a bottle of it. It's good for circulation, and it feels cleansing, he thought. What he didn't know, he was taking a potassium-sparing blood pressure medication, and his kidneys were already in stage 2 decline, not enough to show symptoms, but enough to matter. After a week of his new habit, he collapsed suddenly while watering his garden. At the hospital, doctors found abnormally high potassium levels and cardiac arrhythmia. An MRI revealed a small area of brain ischemia, a warning stroke. I thought I was living healthy, he told me during a follow-up. I never imagined coconut water could bring me down. And he wasn't entirely wrong, but he also wasn't fully right. Coconut water labeled natural, organic, heart-healthy, is still a potassium-rich fluid. For older adults, it can disrupt electrolyte balance and blood pressure regulation. So if you enjoy coconut water, don't fear it. Just be informed. Don't use it as a daily water replacement. Avoid drinking it close to when you take blood pressure meds. And if your kidneys aren't what they used to be, consider drinking it every other day, or swapping it for plain water, herbal tea, or diluted juices. Because at this age, what you put in doesn't always leave the body as easily, and that slow build-up is what your brain may end up paying for. After everything we've covered, you might be thinking, so doctor, is there any fruit left that I can safely eat? I understand that worry. I've seen that same concern in the eyes of many older patients. They're not afraid of aging itself. They're afraid of losing clarity, of no longer being able to care for themselves, of becoming dependent before they're ready. And for years, they believed that eating fruit every day was part of staying healthy. But the truth is, it's not about how much fruit you eat. It's about choosing the right ones. Not all fruit is bad, and not all fruit is good. But if you choose the right type for your body at the right time, you absolutely can nourish your brain without fearing a stroke. I remember Mrs. Carol Jennings, 73, a retired principal from Arizona. She came to see me, confused and frustrated. I eat fruit every day, walk regularly, take vitamins. So why is my blood pressure still high? Why do I feel dizzy and foggy all the time? Inside her kitchen cabinet were all the superfruits: bananas, avocados, oranges, dried mango, and superfruit powders. All packed with potassium, all intense, and all too much for her kidneys, which had quietly weakened without her knowing. So we started fresh. No more superfoods, no more colorful juices. Just simple, gentle, easy-to-absorb options. Morning: a small apple or half a pear, with whole grain toast and a boiled egg. Midday. A few fresh blueberries or strawberries, fruits known for reducing vascular inflammation and protecting brain cells. Occasionally, some seedless black grapes or a slice of mildly sweet pineapple boosting circulation without burdening the kidneys. There's no need to count every milligram. Just choose low potassium, antioxidant-rich, easy-to-digest fruits, and don't eat them all at once. 3 weeks later, Mrs. Jennings returned with clearer eyes, a steadier step, and a much lighter tone. "For the first time in months, Doctor, I feel mentally awake again. And that, to me, is the best reward for a simple, smart shift. Not eating to stay young, not eating to get more vitamins, but eating to stay clear-headed so you can truly live every moment of your day. If you've stayed with me this far, I know you're not just watching a health video. You're doing something far more important. You're listening to your own body, and you're not alone. Like millions of others, you may have once believed that natural always means safe, that eating fruit, sipping coconut water, choosing a wholesome breakfast meant you were doing everything right. And I don't blame you, because no one ever taught us that aging is a journey of change, that the kidneys slow down in filtering potassium, that the brain's blood vessels grow thinner and more delicate, that the body responds differently to foods we once tolerated with ease. The danger isn't the fruit. The danger is the belief that a little bit won't hurt. 1 glass of orange juice in the morning, 1 banana before bed, 1 bottle of coconut water instead of plain water, a handful of dried fruit to pass the time. All of it feels like just a little bit, but after 60, every little bit can become the drop that tips the glass when the body no longer adjusts the way it used to. And the scariest part, it doesn't come with loud warnings. It comes quietly, a touch of dizziness, waking up with a foggy head, slurring a word at dinner, a stumble we chalk up to just getting older. No, that's not just aging. That's your body speaking. And if you listen early, you can still change the ending. You don't need to give up fruit today. You just need to start asking better questions. Why am I eating this? Is my body still okay with what I've always eaten? When was my last kidney function test? And if something here today helped you, leave a comment. Your small insight might just wake up someone else who still believes a little won't hurt. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing clarity. And may every meal you eat be one more step toward a life that's healthy, sharp, and truly your own.